Hey friends, my name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti, and my allergies are going bananas, so I apologize for my general face situation. Welcome to Sim Sunday. We are going to get into Velocidrone. I remembered to click it. It of course, had another update, but it's done updating. That's great. I forgot to put in the stream title mailbag. Let me fix that right now. You guys can check out my my mailbag. Dash mailbag. There we go. Okay, cool. This is a Q&A stream, as they all are. Ask any questions that you've got in the chat. If you want me to read your chat comment, just type CiottiFPV. As if, like, you're in the real world, and you're like, yo, John. Question. Rather than just, you walk up to somebody and just question. And they're like, me? You asking me that question? Just type it. Type somebody's name in the chat for that person to light up in orange. if you want to see what that looks like, you type your own name in chat. There's something, it feels like there's a hair that's like touching me right here. And it's been like this for the past 12 hours, and I don't know what's going on, and it's driving me crazy. I had Maggie look at it. I've looked at it in the mirror 3 times. It's driving me mad. I don't know what it is. I'll just feel like, you know, like if you got like an eyelash that's like, you know, that's what it feels like. Or like if you have a hair, it's like sitting down, like just barely touches you. Stop it, face nerve endings. That's the plan for today, my friends. CiottiFPV is the website where you can support me. Here's the streaming schedule. Is it correct? It is correct. Patreon helps me out the most. For $3 whole a month, you can support me. The more of you support me, the more stuff that I can test, the more money I can save you. It's a perfect cycle. Is it? It is. Over on Etsy, you can buy a whole bunch of really fun stuff. Lots of new stuff up there. Pin vices, drill bits. There's even a full custom build up there that got returned from a failed trip to Austria. Lots of cool stuff over on the Etsy store. Buy a sticker, support your boy, and I'll keep doing this full time. Fiverr, you can work one-on-one with me if you want to really learn a lot. My most recent Fiverr client is one of the main guys at Hattie B's. Hattie B's Chicken. If you have a Hattie B's near you, go. Oh my God. They've got Coca-Cola slushies. They've got a Coca-Cola slushie machine that automatically puts booze into them. Bourbon or rum, or I forget what the third option is. But, and then everything on the menu is insanely good. Hattie B's, look it up. I think they're only here in Georgia and in Tennessee, but I could be wrong. Hattie B''S. Awesome, awesome, awesome food. And a really cool company that has like really good values and like, yeah, a really, really, really good company to support for sure. Teespring has some fun shirts and other random apparel. PayPal if you want to support me directly, but you don't want to do a super chat because you know that YouTube's going to take 30%. Searchable live stream transcripts. Look at this, yo. It's not globally searchable yet. It will be. But these are live stream transcripts. So if there's like a specific live stream where you wonder, like, did Ciotti say the word ding dong? You can answer that question. It's 0 out of 0. I did not say ding dong. But if I search for like FPS, look at that. I said FPS 2 times there and there. Really, really, really cool stuff. Thank you, Craig. And then lots of affiliate links. Amazon, Get FPV, Pyrodrone, Race Day Quads. Change your bookmarks to someone's affiliate links. Newbie Drone, We Bleed, Beta FPV, FPV Cycle, Hasingi, Oh My God, Brain 3D, HDZero, Fly, Max, Banggood, Camera Butter, AliExpress. And then some other fun stuff down here. Support me and I'll keep doing this till the dawn of time. Maybe not that long. Although, you know, that could be a couple of months from now with the way things are going. In the chat, Apache Smoke Wounded Sniper was first. Troy Prelog, Frank Nicholas, Alexander Lewis Hughes, Cloudhopper, Christian M, Cole Powers, Denzel, The Terrible, Craig, Uriel, RC Thrills, Schnauzer FPV, my favorite. Teddy, get off the computer! Get off the computer, Teddy! Jerk. Render, Robert Rosser, Islander FPV, Kevin Sweeting, Notice, Smoking Dog Cujo, Robert Rosser, Douglas 6. I'm going to do this so you don't have to stare at my puffy-eyed, allergy-ridden face. Morton Upshot, Brandon's Baked Beans, Spaceman Spiff, Denzel the Terrible, Espander, Willie Summit, Notice, Chaser, Islander, Uriel, Exiled, Mr. Meaty, Michael Blade. What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming. I'm glad you're here. Apache Smoke Wounded Sniper tagged me and said, good day, Ciotti. How you doing? I'm doing all right, my friend. How are you? Massive shout out, as always, to Apache Smoke Wounded Sniper for doing the timestamps for all the live streams. Between the transcripts and the timestamps, there's no excuses. There are no excuses for you to not find the good info. Stop asking questions and getting your info from Reddit and Facebook. It is more than 50% bad info. And you're going to waste money, you're going to blow shit up, and you're maybe even going to get hurt because of it. Stop doing that. There's fully you can look on anyone's YouTube channel, you can search just within their channel. Oh man, I hope this is still on after the stream. Spec Miata, or no, IMSA's Miata class at St. Petersburg. That's hot shit. Street Circuits and Spec Miata are a match made in heaven. Look, on channels, there's this little hidden magnifying glass here. This will just search within the channel, so you can, like, search for, like, googly eyes. And it'll actually find a live stream. No, stop that. Here it is. Look at this. So somewhere in here, Apache Smoke typed googly eyes. There it is. Oh no, Googles. Oh, goggles. Wow, I searched googly eyes and it found goggles. That's pretty intelligent search. I'll be damned. Okay. Yeah, no reason not to get the good info. Between Joshua and myself, if you have questions, we've got the right answers for you. You can stop blowing stuff up or just wasting your time with bad info. Please. Apache Smoke Wounded Sniper also says, some good news. I got a full-time job as a drone pilot doing inspections and other stuff. Very, very cool. That's less inspections, but never mind. And I got a request to fly and film a cricket game here in Holland. And Ireland life's changed so quickly. Very, very cool. Congrats, dude. That's rad. That'll be fun. A cricket game. I don't really know how cricket works. But Expander says, hey, gangly gang. Render says, what's your favorite 3-inch Cinewhoop prop? Hands down, the Gemfan D76. I've tested all of the Cinewhoop props, and the Gemfan 5-blade is the best mix of power, quiet, balance, and strength. The Gemfan 8-blade is about as quiet, but it's nowhere near as durable. Each individual blade is like so thin. They deflect quite a bit. Yeah, the Gemfan D76 is the official name for it, but it's just the Gemfan 5-blade that's the jam. I've spent quite a bit of time testing 3-inch Cinewhoop props. And yeah, the D76 comes out on top every time. The 3-blade props are very tempting because you can potentially get a little bit more runtime out of them, but I find that they're significantly louder and they don't fly as good. They don't have like the same grip. They're not as sort of controlled. If you have a motor if you have like a smaller motor that has a higher KV, that would really be the only time that I would go to one of the tri-blades. But like, for example, the 2104 motors or the 2004 motors that are like 3,500 to 4,000 kV on 4S, you want the 5-blades. Michael Blade says, hey. Smirk says, how have you been? Pretty shitty, actually, if I'm completely honest, which I really try my best to be with you guys. I've been just in a random, for no real reason, depressive kind of valley for the last, like... it's not for no reason, but it's not necessarily something that I'm I'm going to talk about here. But yeah, I've been distracted and worried about something that turned out to be okay, which is really, really nice. But it's not like a light switch. Uh, and so I could feel myself kind of coming out of it, which is nice, but it's still, it sticks around. Um, and, you know, that's okay. That is my life. That has always been my life. And I have more tools and a better ability to deal with that now than I ever have. I have a better support system now than I ever have. I'm very, very, very lucky to have been able to make it this far and develop some of those things, which is really, really good. But yeah, I've been struggling for sure. Uh, I, I canceled the stream Friday partially because I was having some stomach issues, but also because I needed a day of not a day, but I just needed to not work in that period of time. I just yeah. Self care is not bubble baths and going to the spa. It can be if those are the things that uh, make you feel better and enrich your soul. Uh, Self care is much more than that. Self care can be playing Gran Turismo 7 for 3 hours straight. Not that I can do more than an hour on the on the PSVR 2 headset before my face is on fire and I have a headache. But you know what I'm saying. Self care is taking can be taking a nap. You know, it's different for everyone. Um, you need to spend a bunch of time and effort figuring out what it is for you. And it's worth it to do that because if you want to be a well-adjusted human being that's able to function anywhere near your potential, you got to figure out how to take care of your brain. You can't just keep shitting on your brain, and it, like beating it. Like I have a sticker that I used to hang on my cubicles when I worked in corporate America for 20 years that said it had a little pirate symbol and it said the beatings will continue until morale improves. Um, and like, yeah, that's funny and all, but myself included, and lots and lots and lots of people genuinely believe that, right? Like, and function that way. Shame is a super powerful motivator, um, and but boy does it take a toll. And so careful with that. Careful with that. If your motivation comes from, oh, I suck so bad, let me try to suck less. Like, yeah, all right. I mean that's gonna work. Again, that's a very powerful piece of motivation, but it's going to take its toll. You can't do that forever. Um, and one of the things that's really come out of talk therapy for me in the last um, in the last year or so, I've been doing talk therapy off and on for the last 15 plus years, but um, 3 or 4 years ago, I decided like it can't be like an on again off again thing. Like I can't have a talk therapist and go for like 6 months and then stop for a year and then go for another couple months and then find somebody else. I decided like it just because some shit happened that was pretty serious. Um, and I just decided like, look, this is something that has to be the thing again in my eye. It feels like there's a hair touching me. I decided that slash realized that it needs to be a part of my life forever. Um, and I got pretty lucky. I found an incredible talk therapist, and Sean has really brought me back from the edge of sanity. And but in working a lot with him over the last few years, the last year or so has really been focused around like where my motivation comes from, and it was always shame. And getting to the bottom of that and realizing that and working through that has been incredible. And like now that I have that, now that I understand that and I can see that, I see it in so many people. And so, yeah, careful with that. Careful. Even if you don't have mental illness shit, it's just not a good place for your motivation to come from. It's going to take a toll. So there you go. There's your mental illness rant for the day. Not necessarily mental illness rant. There's your how to be a better functioning, happier human being on Earth rant, right? Because that's really what it is. Even if you don't have chemical imbalances or past trauma that has triggered depression, anxiety, PTSD, OCD, whatever, you know, look, if you're lucky enough to not have any of that shit, those of us that are in the goddamn trenches, like, we're learning all of these coping methods for, like, it's really hard for us, and so we learn these really powerful methods. If you can take some of those methods and put them into your normal brain, you're going to be extra happy and you're going to live an extra awesome life. So, yeah, do it. Michael Blade says, hey there, Sparks, how have you been? Sebastian says, just broken and dislocated my thumb from rescuing my crashed drone. Oof. Do you have any advice of crashing my drone less often? How come switching to angle mode last second doesn't always help? My actual advice is always to crash your drones more often. The more you're crashing, the farther you're pushing yourself, and the quicker that you're learning. If you want to get better as a drone pilot, typically what's going to happen is you're going to crash a bunch and you're going to get a lot better. And then you're going to stop crashing so much because you're going to get sick of fixing shit. And then you're not going to really get much better. You're going to plateau. And then I'm going to tell you, oh, you're plateaued, you got to crash more. And then you're going to start crashing more and you're going to get a lot better faster, right? And so, like, the only time that I would ever recommend that you crash less often is if you're totally happy with where you're at as a pilot and you specifically, like, don't necessarily want to get any better, or at least you don't want to get better fast. You're okay with, like, getting a little bit better over the next year. And so, yeah, there's that. Relying on switching to angle mode last second is a bad idea, in my opinion, because it's just one more thing for you to have to kind of remember. If you're going to fly acro, fly acro. And if at the very last second you can make an actual correction and not crash, versus, like, trying to remember to move your finger up and hit the angle mode switch and then have the accelerometer come on and have the drone try to find level, and hopefully your accelerometer hasn't drifted out so much that level is like this, right? It's not a good plan. It's not a good plan to try to switch to try to use angle mode or anything really as, like, something to help you. Like, you need to fly it. If you're gonna fly an acro, you're in it. You're driving a 1965 Mustang. You don't have a button on the dash that turns it into a Tesla. It's a 65 Mustang. You're totally in control. No nannies, no bullshit. Get good, scrub. I'm kidding with get good, scrub, but seriously, that's it. Like, it's stick time. Actually, here's an answer. Do you have any advice for crashing less often? Stick time simulator. Stick time in the simulator is free and incredibly helpful. Even better than stick time in a simulator, actually, is tiny whooping around the house, because you're not using ones and zeros for physics. You're using actual physics. And flying around the house is very, very, very difficult. Much more difficult than flying in the simulator. And you're going to have to deal with the anxiety as well. The simulator is great, don't get me wrong. Putting, like, 15 to 30 minutes into the simulator every single day will make you a much better pilot, but you don't have to deal with any anxiety in the simulator, and you can choose maps that are, like, really open where you don't crash a lot. And those two things you have to deal with in the real world. And so, and they're exaggerated when you fly tiny whoop inside the house. It's very tight. There's shit everywhere. And there's anxiety. There's something on the line. You don't want to smash the tiny whoop into the expensive vase, you also don't want to break the Cinewhoop. And so you're forced to deal with that anxiety. And that's super important. I've worked with folks through Fiverr who get unbelievably good in the simulator, and then they fly in real life, and they're like, and they get really frustrated because they're like, in the real world, I can't do half the stuff that I do in the simulator. Tiny whooping is the intermediary in between there. So yeah, it's stick time, brother. You got to put the time in. Every single one of us that flies confidently has thousands and thousands and thousands of hours in the sim. Tiny whoops nowadays are incredibly durable, so you can crash a lot, and so you can push yourself and get good fast. But the sim is like the super, super nice, completely free of charge. You can do it every single day. You can do it for 5 minutes at a time. When you got something on the stove that's going to take a minute, jump on real quick, right? There's a million little tiny opportunities to hop in the simulator and get a little bit of stick time in. And that kind of consistency is incredibly important. The hashtag 6 batteries in many of my live stream titles is your reminder to fly 6 Tiny Whoop batteries today. If you start doing that every day, within a couple of months, you will be a significantly better pilot than you are right now. And that feels really good, and it can get you to stop crashing if you fly safe. But again, if you want to continue to grow as a pilot, crashing is a part of the game. It's a really important part of the game. And to be honest, it's one of the most magical things about FPV. Most other things in life, you can't push yourself to the point that you crash out without some serious consequences to your body or to like money or, right? Prior to FPV, I was heavily into motorsport. You know, autocross, for example, is on like big flat pieces of pavement with just basically cones outlining the course. And one of my favorite things about autocross is that I would have all my students push like way beyond their limit and loop the cars into a big wall of cones. We would have track workers that would fix the cones, and the cones would just leave little marks on the car that you could rub off with your finger. My students would learn more in that moment than they would for the entire event if they hadn't pushed beyond that limit, because you don't know where the limit is until you get to it and beyond it. In the rest of motorsport, you can't really do that, right? In like actual racetracks, there are concrete barriers, there are sand traps, there's big curbing on the side of the track. You know, these things can total a car, they can hurt you, they can kill you. Motorsport is incredibly safe, but every so often we do lose people, and that's super hard. FPV is not like that. You can repair your stuff in the heat at a desk. You're not out in the garage punching metal, right? When bolts break, there's pretty much zero risk to your body unless you smash yourself in the face. Don't do that. It's magic. And so take advantage of that, right? Like take advantage of the fact that you can crash a lot, and learn where those limits are. Just try to have your crashes not be... Try to not just like throw the quad towards a gap, reckless abandon, and have that be a crash, because you're not learning much. Like if this is like 0 and this is 10 for your skill level, you want to push yourself to like an 11. You don't want to push yourself to like a 30. You don't want to like try to do a Matty flip for the first time over water, right? If you're just throwing the quad at an opening and like you're totally out of control, you're not learning much of anything. You actually are learning a tiny little bit. You're learning what the path is of the quad when you're off the throttle, but like you're not really learning much. You want to push yourself a little bit beyond your limits. That's sort of that golden zone of learning is going to be cool. By the way, the flying at the beginning of the live stream was the 75mm 1.6 inch prop 2S04 rig. Module 7 V3 frame, Beta FPV 1102 18,000s, Gemfan 1610 biblades, BT 3.0, 300 mAh, 300 mAh BT 3.0 Cinewhoop batteries. Beta FPV 12 amp AIO 04 system, Happy Model Mobula 6 Happy Model 04 canopy, and ORT micro V. Awful late in the live stream to call that out. Sorry, I forgot that. There you go. Good question, brother. Uriel says, question. What's the question? Oh, I said, yeah, I get it. Smirk says, what the heck do I put on my 75 millimeter Carbon Tech CNC frame, first build? That is too open-ended of a question, brother. Give me more to go on. I don't know where to go with that. Craig says, hey, thanks, just working on that now. Very cool. Thank you, dude. YouTube just did the thing and scrolled me to the bottom. Denzel the Terrible says, who taught Teddy to use the computer? I know, right? Cloudhopper with a $7.04, that's so specific, super chat. Thank you, brother, for the support. He says, is it common for the analog video to not be as good on 2S as 1S when using a Happy Model X12 AIO? Interesting. I don't know if I've ever necessarily noticed that, but it does totally make sense. More voltage causes more video noise. And video noise is more than likely what you're seeing there. So yeah, that absolutely makes sense. Yeah, more power, more voltage causes more electrical noise. We see this in like the Diamond AIO, for example, right? The Happy Model Diamond AIO, one of the worst, if not the worst AIOs ever built, is very electrically noisy. But if you put low enough power motors on, low enough kV motors on, and you run batteries that are like PH 2.0 instead of BT 2.0, it's actually a flyable AIO. It's going to fly like shit, but it is flyable. As soon as you go to BT 2.0 and as soon as you go to high kV powerful motors, it's worthless. It just doesn't work. This is also something I've had conversations with Kebab about back in the olden days of toothpicks. Like way back when AIOs were kind of new, they were very electrically noisy. And there was like a hard limit with how much power you could make on a toothpick because of that. And then as the AIOs got better and better and better, and they put more capacitance in them, and cleaned up the electrical systems, you were able to build more and more powerful toothpicks. So yeah, that absolutely makes sense. That's super annoying. It's funny. When I fly analog, I just assume it's going to look terrible. I've been flying analog for so long. I've flown great VTXs. I've flown shitty VTXs. At this point, like when I fly analog, I'm not even like looking at the image. I'm just flying. It's you know, like if I really can't see where I'm going, I'm gonna be like, all right, hold on, let me figure out what the hell's going on here. But like up until the point where I legitimately can't see where I'm going, yeah, for me analog is I'm just flying around, which is really nice. You know, that's it's one of the only good things that's come out of. I shouldn't say that, but it's one of the nice things about being somebody that's been in the hobby forever is that like analog is my baseline. Folks that get into the hobby now that start with digital, I'm just like, oh man, it's gonna suck so bad for you when you start flying Cinewhoop's analog, because it's gonna be like the world is gonna get taken away from you, right? Like when I fly digital, it's like, oh my god, this is amazing every single time. I do not take digital for granted at all. But I started on analog, right, for my first like 5 years probably of flying. And so, yeah, there's that. Good question, dude. Kevin Sumner says, back when I did Reddit, I feel like I was one of 3 dudes that spent time writing thoughtful replies. Now I have no idea. Probably Facebook the sequel. Yeah, it's partly that. It's definitely partly that, but it's also that people's desire to help is higher than their ability to understand that they don't know shit. And it's which also kind of ties into Dunning-Kruger, right? Like, as soon as somebody's done something for 15 minutes, they're just like, oh yeah, I know everything, perfect. And then, you know, it takes a minute for people to get into the valley of despair, where they realize that they actually don't know shit about shit. And so, yeah, Facebook and Reddit. FPV is an impossible thing to understand. There's 8,000 factors that go into every single problem, and so it is outrageously difficult to troubleshoot and to just be into in general. And so it's like, yeah, it's like the crucible of bad information. Motorsport was somewhat specific elements of motorsport were somewhat similar to that, though, namely like suspension geometry and suspension design. So much misinformation, so many people that like swore that they knew what they were talking about that really were just giving horrible advice. So I'm like weirdly used to it, but yeah, it's tough. Jason Murphy says, any known issues doing CLI and Betaflight over the ELRS link? I don't even think I realized that you could do that. I mean, I can't really answer the question because maybe I knew that you could do that. I've never done it, so yeah, I don't know. Anybody in chat? Craig says, course, I could also index JB's videos. He would probably love that. He would probably pay you to do that. Yannick says, how's it going? Could you please explain how to handle high KV 1102s on 75mm 2S? I ordered Beta FPV 22,000 to run them on an X12 with 2S. 18,000 are out of stock. Thanks. Basically, you're going to motor limit them down, and you're just going to have to be careful. In Betaflight, in the PID tab, there's something called motor limiting down here in the bottom right. You're going to motor limit a 22,000 kV down initially to like 60%. And then you're going to fly it and you're going to see if it has enough power. If it has enough power, good to go. If down the road you want more power, you could bump that 60% up to 65% or 70%. Here's the problem with motor limiting. The motors tab in Betaflight, where you can ramp each motor up to 100%, it does not care about that motor limiting. So you never want to ramp those motors in the motor tab up to 100%. Much more worrying than that is that turtle mode does not care about that motor limiting. These are the only two spots. And so when you turtle mode, if you go full stick, it's going to try to do 2S 22,000 kV, which is going to create a shitload of motor heat and a ton of stress on the ESC, on the fats of the ESC. So you're never, ever gonna go full stick on turtle mode. Not that you really should anyway. Like, none of us should ever be in so much in a hurry that we go full stick on turtle mode. It's really hard on everything. With turtle mode, just be gentle. If you're gentle with turtle mode, you will save yourself lots of money because you will blow up less stuff. So in turtle mode, you're just going to gently push the stick over until you see or hear the propellers moving and you see the quad moving, and then you're going to gently flip it back right side up, and then you're going to fly away, and all's going to be right with the world. So yeah, you are going to sacrifice a little bit of throttle resolution, but you'll almost certainly never notice that. The throttle resolution from 0 to 100, I believe it has 1,000 steps in there. 1,000 little, like, you know, we move the stick gradually, but what's actually happening behind the scenes is that there's these tiny little stair steps. And when you motor limit, so if you motor limited to 50%, let's say, instead of 1,000 steps, you're going to have 500 steps. So if you can move the throttle lever, one 499th of its travel, nothing will happen in that case. And then you'll have to move it a tiny little bit more. I've never been able to move the throttle stick more than less than 1%. 1% is 100 steps. So you would have to motor limit like 90% in order to get to the point where I would actually notice that change in stair stepping. And so it's really a non-issue. The turtle mode thing is the biggest issue. If you forget about this and you go full stick on turtle mode, there's a very good chance you're going to blow a FET on that AIO. And yeah, that's like a $50, $60, $70 mistake. And so, yeah, there's that. Some people claim that lower KV motors are more efficient. I don't know about that. To me, it's just that higher KV motors make more power, and more power takes more electricity. I've had, for a long time, I had two 5-inch builds, one with 4S KV motors on 6S motor limited down, another on proper 6S KV motors, and there was no difference in flight characteristics, flight feel, runtime, anything. They were exactly the same, and I put probably hundreds of batteries through them back to back. And so, yeah, a lot of keyboard commandos will tell you that it's a terrible idea to motor limit down, and you're going to lose all this efficiency. And then there's the people that have actually tried it, and they're like, oh, this is great. I can turn my power up and down at will. You know, I mean, you can always turn your power down, but people that get motors that are a little bit too high of a KV and then motor limit them down a little bit, they can turn their power up. And that's pretty fucking cool. So I'm a big fan of motor limiting a little bit, but motor limiting down to like 50% is a bad idea, because you're going to forget at some point, and you're going to be in a hurry, and you're going to go full stick in turtle mode. And if you're motor limited down 50% because the motors are so high of a KV, ooh boy, that is going to really stress that FET. So try not to motor limit down below 7. Try not to buy motors that require you to motor limit down below 70%. 22,000 kV motors on 2S, that is like a little bit too far. The 18,000 kV motors are perfect. You're going to motor limit down to like 80%, 85%, and you're golden. The 22,000 kV motors, it's like, you gotta do that motor limiting down like 60, 65, 70%, and that's like, again, when you do that turtle mode hit, it's super sketchy. But you know, you got them because the 18,000s are out of stock. Can't say I blame you. If you see the 18,000s are in stock at some point, snag them and then sell your 22,000s to somebody that's doing a 1S build, or do a 1S build with those 22,000s eventually, and you'll be good to go. In the interim, though, yeah, you'll be completely fine. Just don't go full stick in turtle mode, and don't ramp any of the motor sliders up to 100%. Uriel says, always lessons to learn. Indeed. Levster says, hello. Morton Upshot says, I feel you. Been cloudy since October. Yeah, I mean, that's seasonal affective disorder right there. Seasonal affective disorder, the acronym is SAD. Sometimes things just work out in life. Cronut says, real split, bros. What's that mean? Real split, bros? With this? What's real? I don't know what real split, bros is. Is that a fun saying? Smirk says, we're here for you, not just for the drones. I appreciate it, dude. Willie FPV says, good evening. Will you modify 04 Lite with new lens? Absolutely not. I can't afford to ruin an 04 Lite like that. Even if I don't ruin it, it's never going to be durable, right? Like removing the default lens, 3D printing something, gluing it down, it's never going to be durable enough for me. And And so yeah, I will not do that. I also don't find the field of view on the 04 Lite to be that bad. It's perfectly flyable for me. So one of the nice things about it, actually, one of the nice things about the slightly narrower field of view is that there's no ducts in view. Going to changing the lens out on this to a wider field of view lens, I would start to have ducts in view again, and I'm really digging not having that. Also, like, you swap the lens out. Well, now what canopy do you put it in? You put it in some specific 3D printed canopy, and then that destroys the VTX as well, right? The 04 Lite, like, so many people are breaking 04 Lites, and almost all of them are running these 3D printed canopies. You're never going to see a canopy, a molded canopy that's actually durable enough, that's going to be set up for some weird, lens and holder that you've glued onto it, right? So yeah, there's a lot of the list of reasons that I won't be doing that is quite long. Kevin Sumner says, have you looked into alternative headbands for the PSVR? I didn't even know you could do that. The Apple Vision Pro basically requires one to wear for more than a few minutes. Is that a thing? PSVR 2 headbands. It's I just assumed from the way that it's built that you couldn't swap the headband out, but I never really thought to look. What's that guy up to? Is that what it? Oh, so this adds an extra piece over the top. That's interesting. I mean, to be honest, 1 hour is like kind of perfect. Yeah, so it looks like these are all like these extra over the top pieces. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I would be more interested in, like, by the end of an hour in there, like, I have a headache just from, my assumption is the focal distance, right? Because I think it's a box goggle. Basically, it certainly looks like a box goggle. And it's the same headache that I used to get with the box goggles that I flew for like 3 full years when I started the Eachine VR 007 or 9 or whatever the hell they were. My first couple years of flying FPV. It's the same exact headache. So I've always assumed that it's just from that short focal distance. And to be honest, like, an hour is fine. An hour is like sort of the perfect amount of time to sit down, play GT7. So yeah, it's, but those little over the head pieces are interesting. I'll have to pay more attention to that with in terms of like what's actually hurting. It makes like this area of my face hot. I don't think there's anything you can do about that, right? There's like all kinds of tech in there. And then, yeah, I don't think the headache is coming from, it's very comfortable. This is what I'm trying to say. It's very comfortable the way that it sits. It actually like sits up here. You wear the damn thing like a hat. It doesn't like, it doesn't like fucking pull onto your face like our FPV goggles do. It kind of sits here and back here like a hat, and then it sort of drops down. And like, and the headaches that I get are not related to like up here. When my face gets a little sweaty, it does sometimes scooch down a little bit, and I'll have to just kind of pick it up a little bit. So that over the head piece would certainly help with that. But yeah, the headache is just coming from using VR goggles for a good amount of time. But like I said, an hour is really nice. An hour in GT7 is 2 of the money-making 30-minute at Le Mans in France races, which is kind of perfect because that's like 1.6 million, which is super fun, or like 3 or 4 sprint races. And it's it's good. It's good. It would probably not be a good thing if it were super comfortable and I didn't get the headache, because I could sit there for 4, 5, or 6 hours, and that's too much for an adult to be doing in a video game. Uriel says I would be canceling more streams because I'd be busy doing that for 4 hours at a time. Uriel says, I think 4 podcasts in 1 week is a lot. and you're doing it a long time. So to miss one, yeah, I haven't missed one in a while, but I very rarely will like force myself to do one of these. If I'm really not into it, I know that it's not going to be great anyway, and I'm probably just going to get pissed off and yell at somebody. And so yeah, like I usually cancel like a stream every other month or so, which is pretty good. But like if I need to cancel one, I cancel one. You know, like if there's a conflict or if the family has something super interesting going on, like I know that you guys will understand. And also there will only be like 1 or 2 days before there's another one. So it's just like, you know, even if you don't understand, blow me, wait 2 days, and then you can yell at me. Uriel says, the one ho says he is normal, an adult, we kick him under the balls. There's a good old confusing Uriel comment. He had a completely readable and understandable comment. I was getting worried for a second there, but then now I know he's okay. Zero Volt FPV says, what's good, gangly homies? Andrew Taylor says, check it's not a gangly eyebrow hair, not eyelash. Had it recently, was like an inch long, tickling my face. I've literally, like, I've just stared in the like an inch away from the fucking mirror with like my phone flashlight. Like, there's nothing there. It's just, I guess there's like a nerve ending that's just going like, ah! And you know, like when one nerve ending fires, that's like what a little, a hair does or whatever. Thrash FPV says, do you ever have any extra rigs just made of cheap parts for flying sketchy locations / learning new tricks? Not really. A lot of times, like, I'll end up selling those. Like, if I have a bunch of parts floating around, I'll throw them together into a rig, and if it flies good enough, I'll throw it up on the Etsy store. There's actually a Cinewhoop, like, okay. There's a Cinewhoop that's exactly that up there right now with 36,000 KVO 702s and the iFlight stack. And so, yeah, I don't really fly. Here's the other thing. I don't really fly sketchy spots anymore. I fly here and I fly out in the front yard and I fly like super local spots and that's enough. That's enough for me. The days of like, for a long time, the juice of FPV was like going out and finding crazy spots. But after like many years of that, it's like I did it a lot. And when you do something a lot, it's not as like adrenaline dumpy as it used to be, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Layman Board says, what 04 Lite issues are you aware of? I'm still trying to figure out this issue with my Mobile 8HD, losing video and crashes. Yeah, I heard you mention that on Joshua's stream. That's an issue that I've not heard of before. I installed the regulator, no change. I'm not the only one. Yeah, I mean, I haven't been looking for 04 Lite issues, right? So it doesn't surprise me that is an issue that I haven't heard of, but I've had absolutely not a single problem with both of mine, and I've crashed the living shit out of them. In my opinion, the main issue with 04 Lite failures is people running canopies that aren't protecting them. And this is something that we've known about with whoops for many years now, right? Like running a canopy that protects the AIO or the VTX or just whatever PCB is below that canopy is super important. I got really lucky when I messaged Happy Model, when I messaged Jason at Happy Model. I was like, hey man, I'm super interested in your Mobula 704. Are you looking for anybody to test it? He was like, yeah, great, I'll send you one. And I said, hey, the canopy looks really good. Any chance you can send me some extra canopies? He said, yeah, absolutely. He sent me 4 of these. This Happy Model canopy is fantastic. The way that the little arms here stay away from all of the components on the 04 VTX is probably why I've been able to batter the shit out of both of these things with 04 and have no damage whatsoever to the camera or to the VTX. And so my guess is that um, you damaged the VTX at some point. The yeah, there's something, because like most of the failures that I've seen are folks that have been running TPU canopies, and a bunch of the failures that I've actually seen are specifically components being knocked off that the canopy is sitting right up against it. One of the first failures I saw was that the canopy was sitting against the bind button, and it knocked the bind button right off. And you know, that's not DJI having shitty quality control. That's something that the racers have had to deal with on with the AIOs. That's something that I had to deal with on the Walksnail Lite VTXs, right? They sent me that email talking about the repairs. 2 of them were physically broken, physical chips missing, or the board was cracked. That is a hard crash, and the canopy smacks into the VTX and breaks it. You know, I think we've kind of been spoiled in the past with carbon fiber rigs that have the electronics like internal, completely protected, mounted to nice stiff carbon fiber, right? And then we've got these Cinewhoops on these bendy ass plastic frames, and so you've got all these stresses being put. Like we're using these PCBs as structural elements. That's, I think what we're finding here is that that's a terrible idea. I think with the exact right setup, it's not that bad of an idea, but that I could totally be wrong, but that's sort of my guess as to what's going on. If I were you, I would contact DJI and be like, hey, here's my problem. Can you fix this? I think that they will. That kind of sucks because you got to send it out to them and wait for it to come back. But hey, there's your excuse to buy another 04 Lite, and then you swap it in. You got a working build. You send that one back, and then once you get it back, you've just given yourself an excuse to build a second 04 rig. But yeah, from what I've heard, DJI has been unbelievably good about fixing the 04 stuff. So. But I can understand that problem that you're dealing with, the fact that you can just unplug the battery and replug the battery fixes it. That's one of those things that I would like just continue to do for months before sending it back for repair. You know, like it's just annoying enough, but it's not so annoying that you're willing to spend another $100 on a second one, or just not be without it for a couple of weeks while they repair it. Craig says, completely agree on stick time in the house with 65 millimeters. Hell yeah. Denzel the Terrible says, I bet the best freestylers in the world crash more than us scrubs, crashing his life. You don't have to bet that, Denzel. I know that for a fact. I've flown with loads of incredible freestyle pilots, and they crash constantly. It's where I learned it. It's where I learned how important it was to crash all the time, right? Like a year and a half into my FPV journey, I went to Quad Camp Atlanta and got to hang out and fly with Drew, Stingy, God, Joshua, Cricket, Bot, and I'm probably forgetting one or two more. And you know, outside of that, I've flown with Schizo, Steel. Yeah, I've flown with many Phantom, many top tier FPV pilots, and they crash all the time. You go out and you fly 10 batteries, and then you edit that down into 3 minutes of flight footage. Guess what? You can crash 1,000 times, and you can have a hell of a 3-minute edit. Nowadays, the edits are much less chopped up, but you'll notice that the best flight edits are not 1 3-minute chunk of crash-free flying, right? There's at least it's 30-second runs or it's 60-second runs. And so, yeah, crashing is, if you want to get good, crashing is important. And if you want to, once you already are good, crashing is going to happen because you're trying to do crazy shit. YouTube did the thing. Scrolling back up to try to find my place. BMF Spade says you can't find those motors anywhere. What are those motors, BMF Spade? Denzel the Terrible says, that's what I did. Started with DJI, now getting to some analog. I feel seen. Cloudhopper says, I know you love the 1102 for the 04 75mm, but is the 802 motor still your favorite for a lightweight 75mm 2S? Yeah, I have two analog 75mm 2S builds, one on 1002s, one on 802s. The one on 1002s absolutely makes more power, but it is noticeably heavier. The magic of that 802 analog, and like, really, the magic of analog is that you can build super lightweight. And so, like, if you're going to have an analog build where you can't see where the hell you're going, make it as light as possible. Go absolutely as small as you can on the motors. I would actually be kind of interested to see an 0702 75mm 2S analog build. I might, if I remember, I might do that one of these days, because I probably have a set of low enough kV 0702 motors somewhere that I could try that out. I think 802 is probably right, but it would be interesting to try it. It would be a really good data point. Like, I'm 99% sure that the perfect propeller weight and size for an 0702 motor is a 1.2 inch. But I've never actually done it. I've never put the lightest weight 1.6 inch prop onto a 702 motor to know. And 2S is so much more powerful than 1S that there is a 1% chance that it might actually be enough. But 2S is also considerably heavier than like 1S 300 mAh, right? That we would have on a 65. This is all on 75mm rigs. And so the weight difference between 0702 and 0802 might really not be enough there, but I would kind of like to know. BMF Spade says, what crazy is when you're flying in the bright sun, in your quad shadow, you can see the electric glow. It's about the coolest thing ever. Yeah, we call that shadow chasing. And it's one of the more magical moments of FPV is when you get the sun perfectly behind you, you drop down on the deck, and you see your own shadow, and then you can play that game where you try to connect your quad with the shadow. You know, the lower you get, the closer the shadow gets. That's one of my favorite things to do. Kevin Sumner says, did you hear Bardwell contemplating motorsport early in his stream today? I did not catch the beginning of his stream, but I did. He posted a video from the Vegas track experience that he went to, and he went to one of the good companies. I was talking when he mentioned it previously last week. I was like, man, I'm hoping, I hope for his sake that he's not going to one of these companies that doesn't let you hammer on the car. There's a bunch of them that, like, the instructor is like, stop, you know, like, they don't let you rev it above like 4,000. They don't let you do shit. The company that he worked with is one of the good ones, and he had a really good instructor. His instructor was throwing a lot at him, which I used to try to. It's an interesting balance as a motorsport instructor, like trying to say enough but not too much. That guy's instructing style was over here. I would tend to kind of go over here. So for me, it was like a lot. I'm like, oh my god. But yeah, I could tell that was a really good instructor. It's just he has this specific style that was way more wordy than sort of mine. But yeah, that's and he got to drive a Ferrari Challenge car, which is pretty rad. I've actually not gotten to drive a fully built race car that exotic. That's pretty cool stuff. Where was I at? Here we go. Uriel says, salesmen without knowledge are dangerous. Yeah, it's true. Smoking Dog Cujo says, I have a Whoop Fly 16 that Betaflight cannot see unless I have a battery plugged in. Any thoughts on what's causing this? That's interesting. hell would cause that? 5 volt coming. Well, okay. So USB passes 5 volt. So my question is, when you plug that quad into just USB, do the lights come on? Do the lights come on in the flight controller? I'm going to assume that they don't come on. And so what that means is that either that USB port on your computer or that USB cable are not passing 5 volt. Or the pin on your flight controller or that trace on your flight controller coming from the USB port is not passing 5 volt to power the flight controller up. But then you plug a battery in and that powers the flight controller up, and then it's being seen by Betaflight. So the data lines, the data ports on the USB port on your computer, in the wire, and on the USB plug on the flight controller, and the data traces, those are all fine. But there's a break in the 5 volts somewhere, I believe. Unless if you plug it in via USB and the lights do come on in the flight controller, then I don't know what the hell's going on. But yeah, try a different USB cable, try a different port on your computer. Higgy47 says, what motor would you use for a 3-inch build freestyle? There's a lot of options. It depends on what kind of flight time you want, what kind of durability you want. I had through my Fiverr, which is linked on my website, I have a thing that I'll do like a half an hour with people called build planning. In those build planning sessions, I've got a list of like 20 questions that I ask you. And the answers to those questions are how I can guide you to like the right motor for you. We can't do that on a live stream. Motor selection is one of the most important things. You could argue that it is the most important thing. So YouTube is going to crash in a minute. That's why the stream's getting all jittery. Sorry. It's YouTube being terrible. And so to really recommend the perfect motor for you, I would need to, spend 20, 30 minutes with you. But what I can tell you is that on the smaller side of motors, you're going to want a 1404. And then the biggest motor that you would want to go with would be like an 1804. So somewhere in that range is where you want to be. Yeah, I would need to know a lot more info to kind of dial in there. But I've got 3-inch builds on 1404s that are nice and light, and they're great. I've got builds on 1804s, and they're big and heavy and chonky and durable as shit. So yeah, you got to kind of figure out where you want to be on that sort of spectrum. Thrash FPV said, or book a half an hour of my time. You'll support me, keep this live stream going, and we'll take some time to dial in on the perfect motor. Thrash FPV says, I have 80% motor limit on 27,000 2S. Wow. It has 65% expo and runs great. Pulls like 30 amps. Oh my god. Bad idea on an X12. Yeah, I don't think that X12 is going to last very long doing that, but if you're having fun, but yeah, I wouldn't think that X12 would last super long. I mean, 4 12-amp channels should easily be able to handle 30 amps, but the there it is. Oh man, I was hoping that it would be YouTube dying. This is actually Canon's shitty-ass software dying. Alright. Yeah, what I know of the X12s is that on 2S with really powerful setups is that they don't last forever. Which, I mean, why would they? We're asking so much of these AIOs, it's kind of insane that they work at all. Come on, man, come back to life, you jackass. You jackass! There we go. King Dingling says, hot air station to the rescue. That X12 that I had throw a prop from 4 stories cracked the OST chip. Quick chip swap and we're back in the air. Very cool. Very, very cool. Pequeño Frijole says, just got here. Has anyone else noticed the HDZero EcoCam is the RunCam Nano 7? As far as I can tell, they have all the same components. Only difference is the 4th wire isn't soldered on. That's wild. I I actually am just putting the Eco Cam back into this guy. I switched the wires around. I did not notice that. I wonder if they're literally exactly the same. Uriel with a bunch of letters that don't belong together. Smoking Dog Cujo says, no, the lights do not come on. The cord works for other drones. Try another cord anyway. Try another port on the computer anyway. If a cord change and a computer port change don't work, then the plug, the USB plug on the flight controller or the trace connected to the plug, either 5 volt or ground, is broken. And that's really not something that you can fix. So, yeah, try those two things, and then that's it. That's all you can really do. It's sim time, friends. I am going to try my best to show you all how to create a little bit more drama and or excitement in your flying. And it's about using the extremes. This is something that we've talked about before, but I don't think I've ever done like a tutorial on it. And so, yeah, I thought that might be cool. I try to do these Sim Sunday streams at least once a month. And it's the first of the month. It's the second of the month. Which also means that tomorrow night is a giveaway live stream. So make sure you're on at least the $5 tier on my Patreon, and you'll be entered to win $40, $50, $60 worth of stuff. I've got 3 different tiers. Cinewhoop and Toothpick tier, 3-inch micro brushless and Cinewhoop tier, 5-inch tier. So if you only fly one or the other, you can just win the stuff that you can actually use. But the $5 a month tier, you know, you won't win if you don't play. The mantra of gambling addicts everywhere, I guess. No, so this is YouTube. This is YouTube. Yeah, oh yeah, I can see it in Activity Monitor. YouTube is running like shit, and for whatever reason, that makes Canon Utility die a slow, miserable death. But we shall persevere. But first, we shall torture. We shall torture the strangest looking dog in the world right now, who looks like a bad AI of a big bushy schnauzer head on some kind of a skinny dog. Grow your hair faster, dog. You look terrible right now. Look at how he's standing. Look how he's standing. What are you doing, buddy? You can go. I still love you, though. I love you a little bit. I'll love you a lot more when that hair grows back in, though. Hold on. Before we go down the... Oh my god, it is so hard to get Velocidrone out of full screen. It like locks you into full screen. Can I just hide it? No, I can't even hide it. I'm on the other monitor trying to get it under control. No, that's not it. The hell? Get out! Give me the monitor back, Velocidrone! God damn it! Escape doesn't work. Oh, I'm an idiot. I just instinctively went Command Q and it quit it. Man, this computer is worse every day, I swear to God. Cinewhoop order, my friends. And I think I've figured out who Jesse is having make these awesome little BT 3.0 battery. Oh, you fucking bastard. I'm over it. We're just not going to have I can't just not have this camera. Oh my god, live streaming is like actual torture. Come on, you fucking clown. All right. These are the Cinewhoop BT 3.0 450 mAh folded cell batteries. And they come with this on them. And I'm sure a bunch of you will recognize this. There's only one battery company that puts this on. Only one battery company that puts this on. And that's Tatsu or Gen's Ace. So I think these are made by them, which is great because their batteries are awesome. A GoPro wouldn't help. This is a YouTube problem. YouTube is terrible, and YouTube is over the past like 6 months to a year. When you're streaming, it starts hammering your processor. Like right now, YouTube has hit my processor for 581%, and there it is. Yes, it died. All right, cool. All right, so YouTube just crashed. Let me restart it here. And yeah, it's really, really bad. Okay. Live chat. There we go. All right, cool. And now we're back to normal. Now it's only taking 8.6% of the processor. So yeah, I snagged 2 of these long cable, because these are the only ones that were in stock. Long cable 450 mAh BT 3.0. So we will see what this does. This is not going to be for performance. This is going to be for runtime. I'm actually really excited about this. We'll see what kind of runtime I can get from the 1.6-inch 04 carrying rig. And also see if this helps it in the wind, right? Having more mass might help it not get pushed around as much in the wind. And so this will be pretty cool. The 2-inch, because I would love it if this could be the one that I leave together with 04. The 2-inch setup, we're a lot more limited on parts, and I think that I'm pretty sure that this is much less sort of refined. This frame doesn't need to be so heavy. These props don't need to be so heavy. So yeah, this is pretty cool. I'm excited about these batteries. Jesse did tell me that he's got the short lead version of these. He sells these batteries with this long battery lead and then with a shorter battery lead. He's got the ones with a shorter battery lead coming. But yeah, you could all. What I love about this long battery lead version is you can use this on a toothpick build, right? So I wanted to snag a couple of these anyway. He sent me a few of the 2S 300 mAh batteries that he found. And I think I'm going to do a little giveaway. Those of you that are completely desperate for these 300 mAh folded cell Cinewhoop Tattoo BT 3.0 batteries, come to Wednesday's live stream, and I think I'm going to do a little giveaway for 2 of these 300 mAh batteries. But you have to be like desperate. Like I don't have any way of proving this, but like be cool, and like if you're completely desperate for these and like you've got every part of the build just waiting and it's just absolutely killing you that you can't get a hold of these, that's who I want to get into that giveaway. Cool. If like you haven't even started the build yet and you don't have any of the parts, like just wait. These are coming. You'll be able to buy these soon enough. But I know there are some folks that are like just dying right now for these, and I would like to, you know, I would like to get those into the hands of some of them folks, because I get it. Believe me, I get it. He sent me a whole bunch of stickers this time, which is really, really fun. He also sends playing cards with a sticker on them that says confusion is an important part of the unboxing experience, which I find it to be absolutely hysterical. Lots of fun stickers. Come on, come on, come on, come on. It says, might as well fly the finest. That's a cool one I haven't seen before. Little flamingo. And then, I think that's a crow. I got ivory white E6000 called T5000. That's kind of cool. I now have clear, black, and white E6000. Because, you know, if you're going to be a nerd, go all the way. Don't half-ass it. Be completely insane. I snagged a bunch of sets of my new favorite 1.2 inch props, the HQ 1.2 by 1.2 by 2 in all the different colors, purple, teal, and pink. Excited about these. For some strange reason, just because I can't not have every single prop, at least one set of every single prop that exists, these are 1.4 inch props for the 65 Pro frame, but they're the ultralight. I might actually, I have a an X12 sitting here, and a canopy. I might throw together another 65 Pro build to try these props. You know, like this is one of my extra 2G4s, so it can either sit in a drawer or I can just throw it into this rig and do a really quick live stream about it. See if maybe these propellers are magical. I'll do 702 motors this time. I'm probably gonna do that. I'm definitely gonna do that. I'm putting these in here. I'm putting this. Oh no, I can't. That's right. No, I can't use the 2G4 because the Pro frame is stupid. So I'm gonna have to use this. I'm gonna have to use this AIO, and I'm gonna have to solder on an external VTX. I guess. Don't hold your breath for that shit. I'm going to have to be in a really good mood to do that build. I snagged a set of the green 180 degree BT 2.0 things for Patrick, actually, when he went to order his. They were sold out. And then I had to do it. I got a set of the new top spin motors with the locking hub setup, which looks like this. Oh boy, that is small. Good God. In the pictures, it looks much bigger than that. But yeah, it's like a locking hub design, which is super cool. Do I have a 702 floating around here that I can weigh? Wait, no, I have all the weights on my Google Sheet. Let's see what this weighs. The problem with this right now is that I don't know what length of it. Weighing these motors is kind of worthless because they always have a slightly different amount of lead on them, and that drastically changes the weight. But this fella weighs 1.41 grams. And when I look at my CiottiFPV Cinewhoop data Google Sheet, which is linked over on Patreon for all you wonderful supporters, I can see that the RC and Power 0702 motor that I weighed was 1.5. The Happy Model 0702 30,000 that I weighed was also 1.5. So these this new generation of Project Topspin motors from Cinewhoop is either a little bit lighter or my scale is a little bit off. What's important is that it doesn't look like it's heavier. It shouldn't be any heavier than the existing or any of the other 0702s, which is a good thing. That's a really, really, really good thing. But again, because of the variances in the wire length, my guess is that the motor weighs exactly the same as all the other 0702s. Buying one 0702 over another one because you think it's going to be lighter, nah, don't do that. Buy 0702s versus 0802s because they're going to be lighter. Don't try to save weight between motor brands. That is a zero-sum gain, in my opinion. There you go. That's my mailbag. Is it saggy and wrinkly enough for you? I'm sorry. That was out of line. Not out of line, just gross. Let me try Open Apple Enter to get out of full screen mode. Hold on, where you at, Velocidrone? Here we go. Play. The name of the room is going to be CiottiFPV. Command return, nothing. Command enter, nothing. I'm telling you, man, Velocidrone takes your monitor and it doesn't give it back. Layman Board says, I already put a regulator in that Mobula 8. I may as well put it on a switch. Problem solved. There you go. Kevin Summer says, document how long the motor wire is and which connector in the spreadsheet. Oh, brother, that's too much work. A, that's too much work. B, the different motors are so different that the weight of the motor is not why you should buy one or the other. You buy the Happy Model motors if you want mega efficiency and still plenty of power. You buy the RC and Power motors if you want absolutely the most grunt possible. You buy Beta FPV or Newbie Drone motors if you've lost your mind. Run the Happy Model motors. They're the jam. This will not come out of... I've gotten this out of full screen mode before. I don't know how I've done it. Command return. Command... Whoa! Nope, that ain't it. Yeah, no, it's super strange. Isn't it down in the settings menu? Alt tab. Alt tab. Nope, nothing. I'm telling you, man, it's weird. Control tab, nothing. Command tab, nothing. Well, I mean, I could do command tab. Oh, hold on. So if I do command tab and then I hit, yeah, see, but then it just put, that's actually fine though. You know what? That's totally fine. Where'd it go though? There it is. Ah, okay. So it's command tab. Command tab, that's it. Command tab, and then it brings up the bing bong, and then I can flip flop in the wing wong. There it is. Command tab. I won't remember that. Nope. Where the hell is it? It's up here. There we go. All right. Cot FPV. Let's go. Create session, and let's go to let's stay in the ship port. Let's stay in the ship port. That'll work. That'll work for what I want to kind of talk about here. Drama and excitement in your FPV flying is not this. This is a nightmare. If you put a flight edit up and it's 3 minutes of this, you're not going to get any subscriptions. Nobody's going to care. Everybody's going to turn it off, and they're never going to come back. This is not it. If this is it for you, you need to start practicing some relaxation techniques. Because you're not going to live very long if this is it for you. This is going to kill you. You're not going to get into your 30s. Oh, see, I see it. You need variation. And in my opinion, like 80% should be chill. Maybe even like 90%. 80%, 90%, whatever, should be flying in a way that normal people can actually watch it. And then there will be scenarios where you can do something gnarly. But then you go right back in to chilling. This does a couple things. It allows normal people to watch you fly, which is awesome. But it also creates drama in your flying. You might think that this is dramatic and this is exciting. And it is. For like 10 seconds. But if you do this for 3 minutes straight, you've normalized mayhem. And that's it. You can't come back from that. Once you push somebody to this extreme point where they get used to this, when you do this, they can't watch it. Right? Like, you've taken their anxiety level up to a point where it's like a 9.9 out of 10, and then you can't bring them back down. So you want to fly smoothly so that they're only like a little bit anxious, and then you can hit them with something like crashing into the thing. You can hit them with something big when... All right, so look, we're flying around here. There's lots of cool shit to look at and to look around, right? And so we don't need to go nuts. We can just shoot this big gap here, and it's super cool looking because, like, there's all this cool shit, right? We don't need to go bananas. If we want to go bananas, throw like a big hit and then let it chill, and now we're back into chilling. But watch this, right? So we had all that shit to look at, but look, oh, now we're out here. Oh, well, now there's not much to look at, so now is when we can throw something big and silly in, because we're trying to get in between. Oh, look at that. We're trying to get in between super interesting things, right? Like, your flying doesn't always need to be the star of the show. This thing is super cool. Let's just orbit it. Everybody wants to know what this thing is. So just throw a quick orbit in. You don't need to do an inverted orbit upside down and backwards. Fuck a trippy spin. Just show this cool thing. And then look, it's a big ass ship. That's cool. Show the ship. Show the antenna. No sweat. Chill out with that. Now we're in a little bit of a lull. Cool. So we do something fun. But now look, we got this big thing. Let's show this big cool thing. Simple little dive down it. Oh, this gate's cool looking. We can do a big power loop. Show this thing again, right? You gotta be able to turn it on and turn it off. You go fast, then you go slow. Then you go fast, then you go slow. And here's the other thing that not a lot of people realize. And a reason why a lot of people don't fly chill is that it's extremely difficult. It's actually a lot harder to fly really slowly like this than it is to do this. When you fly like this, since you're going in 7,000 directions a second, you can make corrections and nobody can even tell that you're making a correction, right? So if I fly like this, I can potentially never crash because I'm just constantly whopping around. I don't fly like this, but if you fly like this for a couple days, you can start to never crash because all you're doing is changing directions. And a part of all these direction changes is making the corrections. And so you can fly like this all day, every day and never crash. And it's like, oh yeah, look how good I am. I can move 7,000 degrees a second all the time. This is like the trap that so many new pilots fall into. When you start to fly smooth like this, one of the keystones of flying smooth like this is putting your sticks in a position and leaving them. And so now you have to look ahead and you have to pick and choose when you actually put stick inputs in. And see, I didn't put a stick input in there, and it made me crash into that pole. I was not looking ahead enough. I was not anticipating that that pole was going to be right in front of me, and I smashed into it. It is much more difficult to fly in this way than it is to just wail all over the place and have that super skateboardy method. Because I'm barely moving my sticks. And so I have to do two things. I have to look ahead and try to plan my route much more in advance. But I also have to like work out how I can make corrections without going like that, right? Like that looks bad. Like, oh, I'm getting near this thing. Oh, and I crashed anyway, right? This, where's that gap? Here's that gap. This looks way cooler. Right? It looks like I did it on purpose. I didn't. I had no idea that I was going to go through it on a 45-degree angle like that, but I made a huge correction and I hammered the throttle really hard there to be able to give myself the momentum to do that. And so more drama, more excitement actually comes from doing less in a lot of cases. See that? How fucking cool did that look? I didn't do anything. I just left the sticks. Right? You can't tell me that doesn't look cooler than this nonsense. I'm gonna throw up now. Right? Like it seems super counterintuitive, but in a lot of cases doing less is more. See, and now right there, I had to make that correction. But it comes, here's another kind of cool thing, right? I was about to go blasting into these containers. There was nothing I could do. I couldn't get out of this smoothly, but I had been flying, I'd been flying smoothly. And so when you've been flying smoothly, you can throw these corrections in and it works because you've calmed the viewer down a little bit. You can have these moments where you throw in a big correction, and as long as that correction is not like one of these, it actually almost looks like you did it on purpose. All right, let me try to give you another example of that. Nice and smooth, it looks cool. Still haven't had to make a correction. Still kind of in control. I should have made a correction there, but I thought I could maybe pull it off. Still flying smooth. I made a correction there, but I did it with the throttle so you couldn't even tell. I should have made a correction there. This is the really hard part about flying like this, is that you wait until the last possible second, and then a lot of times it's too late. In the simulator, I almost never make the correction. I just see if it'll go. Like, I should have made a correct. You see what I'm saying, right? I'll try to catch one of these. That's not it. That was me doing that for sort of dramatic effect. Alternatively, don't, in my opinion, don't just fly smooth the whole time. Give a nice hit here and there. Get it into the plastic, because it adds that. If you fly for like a minute like this, and then all of a sudden you throw one of those in, it's gonna be it's a bit too much. You've basically sold the viewer on like a damn near Mavic level, like totally cinematic kind of flight, right? And so like if you're gonna go for this like really nice mixed freestyle, you're gonna do this for 10 seconds to show the space, and then you're gonna get down and dirty. Drop your elevation down. We talked about level changes when I was flying whoops the other day. Drop your level down, and you can do 10 or 15 seconds of like ground technical work, and then let them breathe again. And now you're at like this middle level, right? You've got your upper level where it's going to be chill and you're going to show the space, and this is cool. This is very, very cool. Like, yeah, it's a little bit Mavic-y, but it's not, because Mavics don't move like this. And so there's a lot of interest in this. And then you've got your really low level where it's gonna be chaos, right? There's loads of shit down low. There's always more shit down low. So there's an example. That was a full-blown mistake and correction, and it almost didn't look like it because I'd, you know, given you some smoothness for a while, and then you kind of like establish a little bit of a pacing. You establish this pace of like, I'm gonna be smooth for a while, and then I'm gonna throw something like that in, and then I'm gonna be smooth again for another 10 seconds, and then I'm gonna throw something like that. I mean, that easily read as a correction because I completely stopped my direction of travel. But something like that was a correction there, but I did it as like a little half pipe move, and it's a lot harder to tell. A lot of high-level FPV is covering up mistakes. A lot of high-level everything is covering up mistakes. I've heard this in the dance world as well. So, like, the best dancers are the best at covering up errors. And so, in my opinion, you really need to learn this smooth flight style. And this smooth flight style comes from being quiet on the sticks. If you look down at my stick overlay, I hope you can see it. I think you can. You'll see I'm barely moving the pitch, roll, and yaw. What I am moving a lot is the throttle. But the throttle doesn't do shit because it has to move the entire weight of the quad. So you can be super aggressive on the throttle, and that's how you're going to get yourself out of a lot of these binds. I'm being a little more active with the roll and the yaw, but the throttle is what's going to allow you to really move around and avoid stuff. But you're going to have to be active. You're going to have to go from 0 throttle to full throttle. There is no in between. You can't be slow and fly like this. You have to be willing to hammer the throttle, because what you're doing is you're waiting till the last second, and then you're having to hammer the throttle to not hit that stack of containers, because you might avoid it. You might be able to do this and wait till the last second and just avoid it and not have to hammer the throttle, right? And so it's this really cool mix of waiting until the last second, but then if you catch it just barely early enough, see that? Wait. I didn't see that 0 throttle to not hit that. If I'd been lazy and drugged the throttle, I would have hit this thing. I had to go 0 throttle at the last second, right? When you're slanted sideways like this, and you drag the throttle, look at it pull me. Look at how much it pulls me. Versus when you're slanted sideways and you're 0, let me try to line something up. I'm going to try to incorrectly line something up. Hold on, I'll find something. Here we go. Ready? So 0, I'm outside. If I drag the throttle, it would have put me inside. You got to be very careful about exactly where your throttle is. 10% throttle when you're sitting a little bit sideways like this. Look how much that moved me! Versus, if I have this gap here lined up and I 0 the throttle, it gets me perfectly in line with those. Right? So you got to be very, very, very technical on the throttle to fly like this, and you have to be active on the throttle. It's doing all of the work because you're not doing any of the work with the pitch, roll, or yaw. And that's going to give you this buttery, buttery smooth, very purposeful flight style, right? Everything looks like it's planned out. None of it is. Not one of these lines is planned out. This is completely off-the-cuff freestyle. Oh, I thought I could Matty flip through that. That would have been cool. Does that make sense? Let me see you guys practice that. Bird person FPV. Let's see it. Be super smooth for like 10 full seconds and then throw like a big hit of action in. It might just be one big stick movement, or it might be like one or two, like a Matty flip into a power loop or something like that. But this is your smooth, and now you got to pick your spot. Pick your spot to do something big and gnarly. Still smooth. There he goes. I can feel the delay. It could be a big... So there's a... I don't know if bird person is actually... wiggle back and forth if you can hear me, bird person. Wiggle back and forth on yaw. Go yaw left, right, left, right, left, right. So I know whether or not I can actually talk to you. Like quickly, like left, right, left, right, left, right. And I don't think bird person can hear me. But he's doing what I'm saying. He's doing what I'm saying. He's flying smooth. I'm waiting for him to give me a big hit of action. Practicing putting stuff together, very cool. Sometimes it's going to look like that. Sometimes you're just going to be looking up at the sky like that. Just stick with it and see where it takes you. This takes a long time to learn. This took me many years to learn to fly this way. This is super difficult. But this is also how you learn to fly cinematic. Really, this makes you a really good cinematic flyer. Bird person, that was awesome. Notice, let's see it. Give me like 5-10 seconds of chill, and then give me like a big hit of action. Let me see that drama. Let me see that excitement. Here's another thing. You never want to go into you never want to center the sticks unless it's absolutely on purpose. If you want to level, let me show you that actually. This is actually really important for me to show you. If you're going to center the sticks, if you're flying around in this ultra smooth way and you center the stick, I only centered one. Well, there's actually a little trick. If you want to center the roll, but you still have a little bit of yaw, you can kind of hide it. It hides that little bit of what you don't want is to fly around like this a bunch and then just go. It looks like you put the controller down. If you're gonna center the sticks, you almost always need the horizon to be level, because now it's a purposeful kind of thing. You've purposefully dialed into a flat line. Am I gonna hit it? Nope. And this is cool, but it looks like it's on purpose. And then you can throw your correction in there. But what you never want to do is be like off kilter and then zero it. That just looks silly, right? It just looks like you stopped flying. It's not a purposeful thing. In order for no movement when you've been moving to look purposeful, it almost always has to be with the horizon level. You saw there, I let the elevation drop. That's a super cool thing to do. If you find yourself up here, level the horizon. And now you can start flying again, right? If you're ever going to let those sticks hit center, both of them, make sure that there's a reason for it. This is centered on yaw, but I'm still adding a little bit of roll. If you want to center the roll, put a little bit of yaw. Just to maintain that fact that like you've given all this motion and then all of a sudden you're not going to give the motion. See the throttle correction there to get in through there? I didn't move the roll or yaw or pitch. I just made that adjustment on the throttle. There's another big adjustment on the throttle, right? Fly around only using the throttle is one of the drills that I teach folks in my Fiverr. Just use the throttle to fly. See how long you can only fly with the throttle. It really helps to do just like what I was showing you there, just pitch. But yeah, if you're gonna center both sticks, make sure the horizon is level. Otherwise, it's gonna look kind of like a mistake. All right, notice nice and smooth. there's a big hit of motion. It doesn't have to be into the plastic. It just has to be like enough. Like if your normal smoothness is using like 10% of the stick travel, you're going to go to like 50 or 60 or 70 minimum, right? It has to be a drastic difference in that rotational rate. That's how you really give that moment of action. This is hard. What a donkey loop, PSVR says. It just kicked me off of... Oh, man, why are you being like this, Velocidrone? Nice and smooth again. Not much rotational. That was a big movement, but he kept it nice and slow. That is going to happen all the time. You guys are going to get frustrated learning to fly like this because you're going to crash into shit like that. It's just a part of it. There's no way to get around it. I still do it, and I've gotten really good at this. Nice and smooth, nice and smooth. He's lining it up, waiting for the right opportunity. Waiting, here it is. There it was, and that's the big move. I would have actually thrown more of a roll hit. So that was actually a really good example. Let me, that was perfect. Thank you for that, dude. So like, one of the ways to do this is to fly smoothly until you have to make a correction, and then that's your chance. When you're about to hit something, that's your chance to throw a big correction in, and then you go back to flying smooth again. And that was a perfect example of that from Notice. Sometimes you can catch it, but there's going to be times where you are going to hit, and that's your opportunity to throw something big in to both save yourself and mix it up. Let's see Quad Goblin now. It's cool as I watch you guys. It's a perfect example. Like as I watch you guys, things like that'll happen, and I'll be like, yeah, perfect. That was almost really nice, dude. What happened there is you were dragging the throttle, Quad Goblin. If you're gonna do something big and gnarly like that, you got to be really technical on the throttle. Let me show you guys that real quick. So what happened to Quad Goblin is super common. He had like a really tight little gap lined up between these. And he was just a little tiny bit lazy zeroing the throttle out. So let me show you, right? So if I want to do the closest I can kind of approximate is like, if I want to turn in towards these and not hit them, when I'm turning in, if I drag the throttle, it's going to pull me into them. Did you see that? I was really drastic about it. Hold on. Here's a perfect spot to do it. So if you're near something and you're going to turn over like that, you don't want your thrust pulling you in towards the object. And so you have to zero the throttle. So if I don't zero it, see it pull me in? Because I turned over towards the object. Versus, if I line this up and turn in, zero it, it didn't pull me into it because there was zero throttle, right? So if you're in a tight situation and you're going to turn this thing over, you have to understand that as soon as you rotate, any throttle is going to pull you into or out of. And so you can sometimes use this to your advantage. If I'm not lined up correctly, for this big red bastard, I can drag the throttle to pull myself into it. But if I'm lined up for this red bastard perfectly, I have to zero the throttle to get through there. If I don't lined up perfectly, if I don't zero the throttle, it's going to pull me back out of it. And so that's what just happened to Quad Goblin. Super common. Super common. The more technical you get, the tighter the gaps are that you shoot. If you're going to add roll, you have to get the throttle all the way to zero. If you're dragging like 1% throttle, it's going to make a difference the second that you start to rotate around, and it's going to change your direction of travel. So be very careful with that. Getting smooth. He was trying to leave it. I love it. I love when you guys crash in that scenario because you're trying to see if it'll go. You're trying to see if you can just stay in, just see if it'll travel through there. Nice and chill, making some corrections, throwing a bunch of them rolls in. Those work to mix it up. Try not to do, like, try to do one of those rolls and then wait like maybe 30 seconds. You want to try to vary your flying up as much as possible. There you go. Mix it up with like a front flip or a back flip. And now we're in chill mode again. See where the path takes us. See where the path takes us. Find a cool object and now throw something big maybe. Very cool. It's a mix of like what the camera is looking at being interesting versus your flying being interesting. See what Quad Goblin's doing right now? He's not doing much, but it's really cool. This is a really cool structure, and he's weaving in and out of it in a really cool way. I love that crash because you just left the sticks, dude. Awesome. And now look. Isn't that cool? Bravo, brother. Cole FPV. Let's see it. Let's see the chill, and then let's see the explosion. When the subject that you're looking at is interesting, you can do less. You can use it as an excuse to do something big, but you don't have to. You can just let it chill. Sometimes, like if you've hit, oh nice, I didn't even know there was I didn't even know that was in there. If you hit an object like a second or a third time, that's a good opportunity to use a little bit more motion. But the first time you like weave in and out of like one of these cranes, you can do it super chill and let the subject do the coolness, be the coolness, so to speak. Cole's got a more active flying style, but you can still see when he chills, right? You can still see when he chills out. It's like a tension and like a release. Like you build it up and then you let people chill. And then you build it back up and you let it chill. So this is the more chill. He's using a lot of throttle and he's going really fast, but it is more chill than when he's doing stuff like that and like rotating a lot really quickly. This is a much more energetic style of flying, but it still has that tension and release. Now we're in tension. A lot of yaw, a lot of roll is going to create that tension. Let's see it, Expander. Sliding sideways and backwards, very cool. There's a big hit of motion there, and now we're going to chill. Nice. That's got some motion, but it's just slow enough. And now he's being nice and chill in here, which is really difficult. Technical flying in tight spots using slow stick movements is really, really, really difficult. And now we're back into the chill, and now we got a big hit. I liked where your head was at. And then as you do this more and more, you'll start to kind of blend it. Don't you dare. Don't you dare do a trippy spin. Nice, dude. All right, so see, he was starting to over-rotate. That was a great save. That was the only thing that could have been better there is that it was obvious that that was a save. So in a perfect world, you would have turned that save into like a left roll. That's where like hiding your mistakes. That was an opportunity to hide a mistake, but boy is that hard. Because like you got to have a plan, and like what happens is you go to hide a mistake and you fuck up because you're trying to do something cool, and then it turns into a crash anyway. Beautiful slow rotation down into a really tight entry. And now we've got like a big hit of throttle. And now we're back into chill. Really, really, really cool. Yeah, hiding your mistakes is super difficult, but it's one of those things that like it'll keep you interested in FPV forever because it's so difficult, and you'll just keep working on it. Really good stuff, brother. Mupshot, what do you got? Mupshot is in his chill mode. He's up on the upper level. He's showing the scenery. Very cool. Let it hang. Let it breathe. There's another way of thinking about it. Is like let your flying breathe for a minute. And now he's level changing. Now he's down low, and there's more going on down low. Coming back up. Y'all left and right if you can hear me, Mupshot. Just like a little wiggle, like bang, 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 bang. I like it. That's a good... Oh, what was inside that building? Did you see that? There's a little Easter egg inside that building. So now Mupshot is rotating really slowly, and that is really, really, really difficult. You can... That is a style. I can't not crash constantly. Okay, cool. I can't not crash constantly rotating that slowly. If you put enough time in, you probably can. But if you get frustrated, just push a little bit farther into the stick travel to rotate a little bit more, and it'll make it much easier. There's a fine line between rotating slowly and between like flying smoothly. Here, let me show you that. Thank you for doing that, actually, because that's another common mistake. A common mistake when I'm working with folks on Fiverr is they start rotating like this slow all the time. I can't judge. I don't know if I'm going to go... I thought I was going to go through the yellow thing. This is a little bit too slow if you're going to be in this lower level. If you're going to be up here in the high level where there's nothing to hit, perfect. You can rotate real slow like this, and it's all good. As I level change here to where it becomes more busy, I'm going to speed up my rotation. And that's out of necessity. I have to be able to rotate a little bit faster to be able to navigate down on these lower levels where there's more shit to hit. And so as that level changes, your rotational rate should change. And all you're doing is pushing a little bit harder. You're just pushing a little harder into the sticks to get a little bit faster of a rotation. So don't try to use the same rotational rate up here. When you're up here, you have to rotate really slow. Because if you're doing this up here, it's too much. This looks stupid, right? Being up here, it's about being cinematic. And so you're going to push real light. But then as you drop down, as there's more shit to hit, you need to rotate a little bit faster. That's a really cool thing to practice. Thank you for reminding me of that. And also, when you're down here and when what you're looking at is more busy, it's okay. It's okay to rotate faster. It almost looks better because there's so much going on. It mixes better with the flying. When you're up here and you're rotating faster, it's like, dude, what the fuck? What do you want me to look at? Like, I can't lock onto one thing because you're rotating too fast. It just fits better. The visuals fit better with the slow rotation when you're up top like this and there's not a whole lot to run into. Hopefully that makes sense. What was that building? Hold on. There was an Easter egg inside that building. Where is that building? It looked like a duck. Or is it this one? I think it was this one. Pretty sure it was this one. There's a duck in there. There's a duck in there. Hold on, let me go to 0 up tilt. Oh, nope, that's field of view. Where's up tilt? Plus and minus? Yeah, plus and minus. See if I can see what that is. I think it's a duck, though. That's something. It's a little man. It's a little barrel man riding a riding a unicorn thing. That's awesome. There's no opening to get in there. You can only look at it through the windows. Boy, is flying 0 up tilt weird. It's too funny. Oh, hold on, let me go back up to regular up tilt. Who else we got in here? Did we watch Notice yet? I don't think we noticed Notice yet. Let's see it, brother. Oh my god, it's 5:05 already. I wanted to fly some Cinewhoop batteries. I think Mads Tech is on now. Go get you guys some Mads Tech. I'm gonna give Notice like 30 seconds. I'm gonna see who else there is, and then I think we're gonna shut this down. I feel bad that I put 6 batteries into the. But hey, the hashtag 6 batteries is mainly your guys' reminder to fly your 6 batteries today. Big old backflip off the thing. Thought he was gonna clear it. Not quite, but I appreciate the effort. Crash, guys. Crash a lot all the time. But learn something from the crashes. Don't get angry from the crashes. Learn something. I wasn't rotating fast enough. I didn't bail early enough, right? I didn't hammer the throttle, or I could have made it. Every crash is the biggest chance for you to learn. Nice and smooth. He's lulling us into a sense of security with the smooth flying, and then he's going to blow our effing brains out. There we go. Faster rotation backflip, and now we're back into chill. You'll love to see it. I would speed the rotation rate up just a little bit. Notice, push a little bit farther, push a little bit harder into the sticks. I think we watched Quad Goblin, we watched Cole, we watched Expander, we watched Mupshot. Level 1 drone, go ahead. Let's see it. Let's see that. Let's see the dynamics. You can also think of it as dynamics, right? In like drumming, dynamics was like you play loud and then you play quiet, and you play loud and you play quiet. In our flying, the dynamics are going to be rotating fast and then rotating slow. Right now, we've got all fast rotation from level 1 drone, and so that's all that we've, you know, we're just constantly playing loud, right? This is the drummer on the drum set that's playing with his shoulders and his arms, and he's just blasting. What I'm talking about here today is being able to turn that on and turn that off in a way that you can attract sort of like more people will be willing to watch your flying if there's something for everyone. If there's some chill and if there's some chaos, more people will be able to watch and enjoy it. And it also, it kind of almost tells more of a story. It takes the viewer for more of a ride. So here we go. Here's some nice smooth stuff. It's fast smooth stuff. We're carrying tons of throttle, but the rotational rate is slower. And that gives that lets the flying breathe a little bit, and it lets it chill. And then at some point, it's probably going to pick up again. And you know, for people that like the more stick bang-y style of flying, what you'll see is they get to this obstacle here that's kind of cool looking, but then they'll start to weave in and out of it in a way that's really cool. There's no wrong answers to this, right? Like, yeah, the object is cool looking and you don't have to do a lot, but the object has a bunch of gaps in it. And so that gives you a chance to shoot a bunch of those gaps back to back and give that like crazy, crazy, crazy moment. Blue Meanie, I think, is AFK. Baron Von Z, let's see what he's up to. Nice little rotation to avoid that. Trying to get through that gap. That's a tough gap to get through there. I don't even try it anymore because I crash every goddamn time. So let's see. We've got nice and chilled out, slow rotational. There we go. Good example of it. Nice little roll, and that roll actually helped him get through that gate. And we didn't mind the roll because it was nice and smooth going up to that, right? If you throw a whole bunch of those rolls in, it's like, all right, well, show me something else, right? Oh, that gap is got him again. Nice. Try not to center the sticks. Try to always go from left to right, right to left, forward to back, back to forward. If you're going to center the sticks, do it purposefully. Nice. That was, see, and now he did center the sticks on that, but it was a part of it was purposeful. It was a part of that stall. So there's this, one of my favorite moves is that. That is a purposeful centering of the sticks. I usually do it flat. I usually have the horizon flat when I do that, but you don't have to. If you do it sideways, it still looks cool because it's purposeful. You're purposefully centering the sticks. You're not just flying around and like, I don't know where to go. I don't know where to go, right? It's a part of a movement. Have a reason for it. I didn't center. I meant to center him there, but and what? I just lost audio. one of the easiest ways to do that is to have it be with hang time. That's not a great example, and I left a little bit of yaw in there. But if you're going to do a big hang time move, that's a really good opportunity to center the sticks. So if you have to center the sticks, try to do it when you've got a bunch of upward momentum or you've got a big moment of hang. Because then, like, the hang time is, like, the subject. You've got this really cool moment of, like, anti-gravity, and that's kind of the subject. I lost the audio on Velocidrone. I think I got everybody, though. What did I say it was? Command Tab? Command Tab is not working. Oh, nope, now it's working. Well, no, actually, I can just back out of Velocidrone. Thanks for hanging, my friends. Hopefully you learned something. These are some pretty, like, high-level things that I'm throwing at you. So if you only learned, so I went to a West Coast Swing workshop yesterday with probably like one of the, I don't know, 50 best dancers, West Coast Swing dancers on earth. And she went over some super high level shit. At the very beginning, she said, look, she said, how long's everybody been dancing? She's like, 6 months. And a whole bunch of us raised our hands. She's like, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years. The one main guy, Alan, has been dancing West Coast Swing for 25 years. She's like, look, you are all at completely different parts. She's like, you raised your hand over there. You've been doing this for 6 months. If you pick up one thing today, that's a huge win, and you should be super happy about that. And this is the same thing here. If you picked up one thing from this, that's mega. The other stuff went into your ears and it went into your brain, and you can't totally understand it yet, and that's completely okay. As you get better, it's still in there. It'll start to kind of the connections will form. And so, yeah, you're all doing awesome. 6 batteries a day. Practice. Mindful practice. Learn from your crashes. And, yeah, there you go. Love you, bye! See you guys tomorrow night. Tomorrow night's a giveaway stream. Join the, get from the $3 to the $5 tier, and maybe you'll win something. Here's the 1.6-inch rig, the other battery from the dog park. Crazy wind, but it was nice and warm out. 300 mAh battery, 1.6-inch 04 carrying rig. See you guys tomorrow night at 10 o'clock Eastern. Go get you some Mads Tech. Tell them I sent you. Love you. Bye.